when you can learn how to deal with rejection and failure, you are on so much a better path to actually succeeding.
We've been joining forces quite a few years now. I remember after, one of the sessions said to me, "Oh yeah, no, I'm doing stuff for Richard Bartlett's as well as William. I'm over here," and I'm like, "Gosh," I'm like, she's all in. It was so cool. Yeah, you're a lot, and a mom, a coach, an entrepreneur, businesswoman, political lobbyist.
Allow yourself to have things that you really want. It changes your perspective of life. It changes your perspective from being somebody who fails to somebody who succeeds and achieves what they want. The transformation is from somebody who thinks that the universe is against them to somebody who truly believes and understands the universe is in their favor.
Hey everybody, it's Chris Duncan here. I am so excited to be introducing you to my friend, my colleague, client, soon to be traveling to Africa together. This is my amazing friend, Lana Hempsall, and I'm so excited to be introducing you to her. She's one of the authors of the book, the Superconscious Transformation book series. And so, Lana, I'm so excited. The book is out. People are able to get it. Would you give a little introduction about yourself and share a little bit of your background for everybody?
My name is Lana, and I co-authored or contributed a chapter to this book because through the process of my life, I stumbled upon a blog that really needed some different input. So I'm a businesswoman and a politician, and now a political lobbyist and coach. So
Yeah.
that's who I am now.
Yeah, you're a lot, and a mom, a coach, an entrepreneur, businesswoman, political lobbyist,
All
super.
that. Busy, right?
We've been joining forces quite a few years now. I remember after one of the sessions said to me, "Oh yeah, no, I'm doing stuff for Richard Bartlett's as well as William. I'm over here," and I'm like, "Gosh, this lady's doing everything that I said that I did." I'm like, she's all in. It was so cool. And so I really appreciate you. And obviously, we got to meet in San Diego, and it's just been a cool journey. And so I'm really grateful that you're part of the book. And so, how do you think your chapter fits into the overall theme of transformation and personal growth? Like, what's the key aspect from your chapter?
Well, to illustrate that, I probably need to put in a bit of background. One of the key moments in my life is when I lost my sight when I was a young teenager. And
Mm,
because there was no medical cure, my mother, with the best intentions for me, enrolled me in everything she could get her hands on, from transcendental meditation to yoga to everything else. And what I found as a teenager, that all those modalities took me away from what I considered to be real life. From my diet to my practice, everything that I was expected to do removed me from my peer group.
mm,
And what I found when I came across magnetic mind method is that this modality integrates you even further into your real life, just
mm.
makes what I call real life, makes it even more doable. And that was one of the key, that is the key to why I've contributed to this book, why I'm on this podcast, and why this is so important to me. There is nothing mystic hooey about this. There is nothing that people would need to be, hide about themselves. This modality serves everybody openly and makes every individual who embraces the principles behind this a more successful individual in the modern world. And that's why this is important to me. It's not removed, it just makes life more doable, if that makes sense.
Oh, it does make sense, and I really get it. If we stand on the shoulders of giants and understand the basis and the science behind the placebo, and realizing that over a third of all of the results that the pharmaceutical companies um, can claim, a third of it is our mind. a third of it. And it's like you can't escape that. That's like the biggest companies in the world say, yeah, we have to test double-blind placebo control against everything, which is basically saying your full belief in a system is doing a third of the work, which there is no mystical hooey about that. You know what I mean? Like that is what it is. Like that's just real. And it's just not something that's talked about enough. So I'm so proud to have people like you out there with our work, sharing it and coaching people and getting results in your own life as well. And so would you maybe share a personal experience or a transformation that you've seen that's really stood out for you?
There are so many, so
Mm.
many. It's been, I mean, I first joined you in 2020, Chris.
Yeah,
I've had 5 years of
hung out for a while.
yeah, it's been a while, and they just keep coming faster and faster. I guess, oh, do I pick the one that I put in the book or do I pick something different? For example, what I've learned through this method is how to that it's okay that to envisage something and go for that result just because you want it. And
Mm,
when you put things in that context, when you can clearly identify, well, it's not even clearly identified, but actually allow yourself to have or create things that you really want, it changes your perspective of life. It changes your perspective from being somebody who fails continuously and for the same reason to somebody who succeeds and achieves what they want. So the transformation is from somebody who thinks that the universe is against them to somebody who truly believes and understands and accepts that actually the universe and everything else and everything around them is in their favor. And I think
mm,
that is the key transformation. And it goes from either fulfilling your, childhood dreams of, going to Africa, for example. That's been something that's been on my heart. And that I was going to come next last year and didn't. And it took, a personal journey to make sure that, now my flights are booked, everything is in place to go
mm,
this year. From, somebody who was too afraid to embark on building a new business. So, for example, I now run a new business, which is a political lobbying business, to get a better energy policy in this world. Once upon a time, even 4 or 5 years ago, I would have been somebody who's like, who am I to lead this movement? To
mm.
now, I fully accept that that's my role in life, and
Yeah.
that's what I do. So for that reason, I being part of the transformation book, it's to help people understand that the person that you are when things are not going well and you believe everything is against you is not the same person you are when everything you feel is going in your favor. But that transformation is much easier than you think
Mm.
and is less painful than you think, and it's it's realistically achievable. That's why I think transformation, and that's why I wanted to contribute to this book specifically.
Yeah, I love it. I was reading your chapter and you talk about one of the biggest shifts is um, letting go of this fear of rejection
Mm.
and obviously being in politics, the best you can hope for is, I guess, 40% of the people disagree with you or something. So there's a lot of rejection in it. And I say that tongue in cheek. I don't know the actual statistics, but there's a lot of rejection, and that's been something that you've really had to overcome to step out into those things. Would you speak a little bit to how much that fear of rejection holds people back, and maybe some advice on how they can let it go?
Well, rejection, again, that's one of the keys. I think when you can learn how to deal with rejection and failure, you are you are on so much a better path to actually succeeding. The
Mm,
thing I wrote in my chapter, I've watched an interview with Roger Federer, and
yeah,
he's just an astonishingly amazing tennis player. And he said in his interview that they calculated over the span of his career how many points he actually won, and it's only about 53%. It's just over 53%, which means that 47% of his points he actually lost. And if
wow.
you cannot deal with losing, failing, falling back, you simply can't dust yourself off and treat it as an experience, treat it as a learning curve, treat it as information that you can build on. You simply can't move on.
Yeah.
We find, and it's really prevalent with younger people these days, that every setback is terminal. Every setback defines them in a way that is not favorable. Every bit of bullying, every poor grade at school, it seems to determine, especially young people, in a way that they end up. I mean, in the UK, this problem is awful. It really is. There's hundreds of thousands of youngsters every year who sign themselves off permanently incapable for work due to mental health problems because they simply can't deal with, amongst other things, rejection and failure. We set up what they should be doing and how to be successful. And when they can't achieve it, more and more of them are just giving up because they can't handle how we make failure so personal. I mean, you've experienced it as well. It's that hot shame of failure. It's the burning, oh my God, is this me? Am I always going to do this? Is this, me forever? How bad is this? What do people think about me? When you have a good system in place and a quick system, to just go, well, hey, that's what happened. That's what I learned. This is probably what I did do. This is what I didn't do. Onwards to the next one.
Yeah.
When you can do that in a really short space of time and not waste energy and time over mourning what you didn't do,
Yeah.
that is a key milestone into actually achieving what you do want. It's key. When you can do that quickly, efficiently, you're on your way.
Yeah, it's inevitable. I mean, the bigger that you go for things in life, and everyone, should go for things in life, but there's select few like yourself that want to go for, big things in politics and in business, and you want to go for it. And the only way that our genius emerges is by going for something, figuring out what we don't know yet, so then we can focus on improving, and then we get into that loop of success. But we stop that feedback loop if failure shuts us down and we don't learn from it. And also this weird expectation, that you just go out and you're going to win every time. It's just Federer's losing whatever you said, 43% of the time. You have to get used to a lot of losing. And I think something that you didn't put in your chapter, but it's just popped into my awareness is we look at the results so much rather than looking at how we're playing or how we're doing or what we're actually applying ourselves and realizing, cool, well, I might only be, 1 point off being a winner, like it gives you such a small fraction going, what do I need to be with that? I think the relationship to rejection and failure has a massive implication to how successful someone can be. I think that's what you sort of found before reject. What was it like for you? So rejection before you made the shift through MagMind or other work, whatever, however you did it. What was it like before, and then how's different now?
Oh, crumbs. It was really, really, really bad. I mean, I'm, firstborn in my family and, always wanting to achieve. I was ridiculously competitive.
Mm.
And, to be hindered with a sight issue is, and still go for it. It's almost like I'm trying to test myself personally to see, how many hurdles can I overcome. It's like, oh, this race is easy for everybody else. Look at the hurdles I have to overcome to win. It's like it's a
Yeah.
constant race. But that's how I'm wired, and that's fine. But not succeeding would be crushing for me. Absolutely crushing. And we have our behavior patterns, don't we? And we have the pattern that leads us to failure, and it's always the same one. You just go, not again, not again. The same thing happened, annoyed the same people, failed in the same way. And because our failures are so so identical to each other, we recognize them, right? We recognize how we've managed to fail every time. We call it sabotaging ourselves often. And it gets worse and worse and worse, doesn't it? It's like every time it happens, you just make it more about you. You feel that, that pattern is inescapable. And, I personally found myself in a place where I was literally, bunched up in a ball in the corner, just going, I literally don't know how to live.
Mm.
Because when my joy in life is actually succeeding at things and, and winning, when I couldn't do that and I didn't seem to be able to do that, I thought, well, how do I live now? It's a
Mm.
real existential, it can drive people to a real existential crisis, can't it? When you can't do what you really want to do. And personally on a one-to-one call, taught me, you helped me, um, just tone down that noise, tone
Mm.
down the pain of it. And you asked me, so, how would you, because I identified that fear, that pain of rejection was what was really stopping me, from just going, oh, okay, well, that didn't work. How can I do things differently? And it was because it was so painful that was holding me back from, moving forward. And we did a massive change history, do you remember? And because I wanted failure to just feel like something really quite benign, like losing a game of Sudoku, or messing
Yeah.
that up, where you just, well, there's another puzzle that can be generated in the next half a second, from wherever I am. This isn't the end of the world. I'll just try again. Like, who cares? Nobody's judging. So that's what I wanted to feel like. And having
Let
that under my
me just
belt was
capture that
huge.
for the audience real quick. Let me capture that because it's so profound. When you take failure from being an existential crisis, this rejection, to
Yeah,
it being just like playing a little game that keeps on turning up the next opportunity.
yeah,
When you change that metaphor in your mind, it changes the meaning of
yeah,
reality, which changes reality itself.
yeah.
And that's such a fascinating thing. Like you still have the failure, but what it means is completely
Mm,
different because our superconscious works in metaphors. And I would assume that since you made that shift, you're able to go, oh, cool, I'll just get back in, play the game again, rather than crumple up in a ball like this is the worst thing ever.
yeah,
Is that right?
yeah. That's exactly how it is. Because
Mm.
when you don't when it doesn't become an existential crisis, you can then just move on and, try again, do something differently, change whatever parameters there are. It's change things, just move on, try something new. There's always a new opportunity when you don't make it terminal for yourself. there is always another opportunity. There is always something else you can do because that's the other part of the transformation is what I learned through working with you is the choice making is
Yeah.
having things you want to go for and focusing on those things relentlessly every single day because it focuses your energy and what you do in your day-to-day life on meeting, on going for what you actually want. You're not dispersing your energy on things that, aren't productive or, they're even counterproductive to what you want to do. And so when you have those two under your belt, when you know what you're going for, when you can focus your energy on what you really want, take the bumps along the road, then that's kind of what it's about, right? It's and you will end up having successes, and there will always be, in Roger Federer's case, and mine probably it's slightly higher. You'll always have your failures, but when they don't hurt, it's fine. It's like
Yeah.
like a baby learning to walk. You land on your diaper on your bottom, and you just try again, right? Giggle and go again until the walking happens and everybody claps. But in that process, there's not 100 failures. There's probably you know, 10 a day, if not more, when you try to walk and don't and land up in a heap. But, if
You
your
know that.
baby decided that, this was terminal, just,
Yeah.
end up in, just like, well, I'm not trying ever again. And be like, come on, dude. This
Yeah.
is,
I mean, it's like that the only failure is not failing. Like the
yeah,
real failure is that you didn't do anything that you didn't know how to do. You didn't grow, you didn't learn.
yeah,
And so
yeah.
if people are listening to this and they are going after something big, I highly recommend that you get a session with Lana around transforming your relationship with failure and rejection because if you buckle under that, you're just simply not going to be able to have the results that you want because you just waste way too much energy in your own mind, examining why you're such a horrible, bad, terrible failure, rather than realizing that the next game's already started. Assess what do I need to work on and get back out there and play the game. And it's especially when you're, in games that are in the public eye, like politics or entrepreneurship or business. It's really important. Now,
Sport, yeah, or sport even,
sport, yeah, yeah, yeah.
elite sportsman, it's like, you concede a goal, concede a try, whatever it is, you get your head, it's head up, back in the game. That the moment your head drops, it's done. And you
Done.
drag the whole team down with you. But when you can take that at least in sports, those failures, and in tennis, they come thick and fast, and you learn to deal with them in whichever way. But, when you can do that and then refocus on where you need to go, it's pivotal. So, yeah.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I really love it, and I really hope people listening go, you know what, I need to deal with that because there's an old saying if you need something and don't pay for it, you pay for it in other ways. Like if you need to change your relationship with rejection, you don't deal with that. There's other ways you pay for it and wasted time and anguish of not achieving your goals. So just changing topic a little bit here in your chapter. You said this really beautiful line, and I loved it. I pulled it out. It says that your transformation is belated growing up. I would love you to expand on what you meant by that.
It's so when so we learn how to behave and how to deal with life generally and the challenges that are thrown at us at a really young age. So it's when we're babies, and that habit forming, I'll call it habit forming or pattern forming, sort of stops at the age of 5, 6, sometimes 7. And we get stuck as individuals in a pattern of responding to our environment that we learned as a form when we were really tiny and weren't in control of our lives. And the transformation to being a successful adult is actually growing out of those patterns, understanding that there, there isn't a mum and a dad to whom we have to entrust our lives, that, we are now in charge of not just our environment, external environment, but how we respond to our environment. And that's where the growing up comes in, when you can take responsibility, like personal responsibility for how you react to things. And that's often misunderstood when, so for example, bad things happen, really bad things happen. We can, we only need to look at, the earthquakes, the wars on at the moment. There are bad things that happen, but how we internally respond to those is is the way we're conditioned to respond to bad things is taught to us when we're really young. As adults, the transformation comes in how we internally respond to those events outside of that happen to us differently. So, for example, if there's an earthquake and everything's wiped out and it's really tragically, what do you do? Again, do you collapse in a heap in a corner, curl up and wish it all away? Or do you see this? Okay, here's an opportunity for me to do X, Y, Z, help my community, help my family, help myself, find
Mm,
water. Does that make sense? So in really big tragedies like that, and we have those in our personal lives to a bigger or smaller scale, how do you take responsibility and how do you act differently? And how do you bring back that personal power to you to
mm,
make sure that this event, this crisis, whatever has happened to you, um, the way you respond to it is actually reflective of who you actually genuinely are and who what is the best part of you.
mm,
There's, I watch people go through, marriage breakups, through business failures, and what is really interesting is that their friends, people who know this person will go, "Oh my God, you'll bounce back. You're great. You're really good at this, that, and the other." And well, okay, so you lost 10 million pounds. Don't worry, you'll probably make it back in a year.
yeah,
Whereas they personally can't see it at all because they're processing this information like a 4-year-old,
yeah,
where losing all of your pocket money or, your ice cream dropping on the ground is terminal, right? It just actually is terminal. It's the end of the world. Um, so the transformation is growing up to actually inside, not reacting to the world as if you were 3 years old again. It's, growing up and acting like an adult.
yeah. It really is. But as both of us know, we just the our society has given up any initiation point to say now
Mm.
this is now it's now time for you to be an adult,
Yeah,
and you take
yeah.
responsibility for your own life, and this is how to be. We've really lost that. So everyone listening, if this inspires you, go check out the Superconscious Transformation book. Lana's chapter is phenomenal. Every chapter in there is phenomenal, and I really do recommend it because there's a new you out there waiting for you to transform into. And so, Lana, do you have any final thoughts for the people listening? Yeah, do you have any final thoughts?
What I would say to anybody listening is get a coach and get a decent coach. Like,
Mhm.
seriously, that is key. If your financial means aren't fantastic, if you are anxious about getting coaching, then there are group sessions out there that are perfectly affordable. But it's really getting, a magnetic mind coach. I put a plug on natural success coach, somebody who is high quality, who will not dwell on, what you can't do, but somebody who can lead you to your goals and successes is pivotal in your life. It really is. And that the money that you spend on somebody, magnificent in your life who can see your magnificence is just money you're not losing tenfold by not engaging in that. It's, getting a coach in my life has been transformational. And, I've gone through a number of them, trying to suss out who will, be in tune with what I really want to do and be in tune with, how I want to be in life, somebody who doesn't pander to your crybaby, somebody who actually puts you on your 2 feet and sends you off as a success. That is that is key. Like, if there's one thing that I would say people need to do is just get yourself a coach. Get
Yep.
yourself a decent coach, because there's too much out there that will, that will rob you of your self-confidence, rob you of your money, and you'll end up nowhere. But the modality that, Chris, you have set up, um, is it truly is transformational, and it'll make all the difference. It'll make all
Yeah.
the difference. It'll turn you from somebody who is just being buffeted by the winds into somebody who is just enjoying life and just going for big stuff, going for important stuff, and enjoying the ride with it. It's yeah, it's I would say that's key.
I agree. I agree. Having a person in your life that is paid to keep you on your highest vibration and keep you focused on what matters to you, and that is by far the most pivotal thing I've ever done to get that. And so I really appreciate you, listeners. I hope you've appreciated this insight. I'll put all the links where you can connect with Lana underneath here. So, is it you have other books and social media and webs? She has all sorts of things that you can connect with Lana. So they'll be all underneath the video. Please do reach out to her and go grab your copy of the Superconscious Transformation book, because I'm telling you, it's going to change your life.